Welcome to Mother's Haven, a podcast where mothers are challenged to try for more through access to help, hope, and a pathway to healing. Every mother goes through various phases and seasons where they daily navigate distress, discomfort, and wholesome experiences. I have personally walked the path of various pain points and experienced certain life changing situations in my own journey, which actually brings me here to offer you a hand to help, a voice of hope, and a pathway to healing. Each time you listen, a rush of liberation comes through because I'm here to validate your freedom and also to challenge you to be a mother and much more. Welcome to a second part of another episode on Mother's Haven podcast with Pastor Abalale Mata Oko. My God, she has been giving us various levels of insights and wisdom to help us strive to live excellently, and she has also given so much wisdom and knowledge from her life experiences. And there's still so much more that you're gonna learn from her in this second part of the episode with the Pastor Bolande. The next voice you'll be hearing is hers. All right. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for talking about the secret of actually having this sustainable and quality relationships like I asked. And I like the part where you mentioned that even if you had not spoken to each other for about 2 or 3 months, once you pick up that phone and have that conversation, it's like a solutions provider, or it's like that, just that thing that you actually needed. And it's so validating again because you sometimes you have people that you've not spoken for 2 weeks and you're like, I've not heard from you, and you're like, oh God. You understand? So that actually is also actually very validating that if you have quality friends, quality inner circle, they are there for you no matter how long it has been or no matter what you bring to the table. And I like how you mentioned that you show up for each other. That is so.
But the other thing I want to chip in is that those relationships, it's something that is built over years. Like, for instance, one of my closest friends, some of them we've known each other for 40 years. So you can imagine 40, 30 years. So, I mean, if you've been building a relationship for 30, 40 years, I mean, of course, there would have been a lot of trust and bonding that would have happened within that time. So, of course, it's easy to kind of understand that, okay, Polandi has been busy. That's why I haven't heard from her. And then when you finally hear from her, you're like, what's up? Woman of God, I was wondering, I'm like, you know me now, I've just been so busy, so that's really it, once you spend time building and nurturing a relationship, it becomes easier to be able to just, take off wherever you stopped, even if it's like we've not spoken for 2 months, just take off from where we stopped, so.
That's really amazing. Thank you so much. So now my next question will come to the life of a mother or life of a woman or a wife in this current generation. Now we have spoken to how you were able to integrate your life based on, of course, you started with the grace of God, and then you gave us certain tips as well. And then you've told us how you've even been able to build relationships for 30, 40 years. So that also tells us how much value you actually carry. And I've listened to your podcast, I've listened to you speak, and I've seen how much God has really, really blessed you thus far, and is still doing that and more.
Amen.
So now, amen. So now for mothers, for women, in this generation, with so much toxicity, with so much pressure out there, with so much loss of identity, because of these pressures of life, because of these pressures of family. For some are actually in the wrong marriages, or are probably even in the right marriage but don't even know how to nurture the marriage. And because of that, they are in a fix, they are in a tight box, and they just can't seem to break free. They just can't seem to enter into that place of excellence. Yes, it just can't seem to enter into that place of excellence. So let's break it into two. So
Okay.
for some, yes. So for some, they've not even gotten to that place of identity. About the second batch, they've gotten to identity, but they have not been able to reach that excellence. They have not been able to desire excellence. They're like, "Ah, okay, at least I'm here. At least I'm here."
Oh, wow.
So why do I need to scale up? Why do I need to do anything even more? So please kindly speak to these two categories of women.
Okay, so I'm going to try and talk first to that person who is like, you know what, I'm trying to reach a place of excellence. No, unfortunately, we live in a time where there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on, even, let's not even talk about mothers. There's a lot of pressure on us generally, because we live in a social media generation where everybody puts their put something online that does not even represent their life. And so you begin to feel pressure because you are looking at somebody's life and you feel like, oh, they're accomplishing so much and all that. And that really is the danger of comparison. And what I always say about it is that, you must understand the process and the journey of your own life. And I always use this example that I have 3 children, and my 3 children, they walked, they talked, they sat up at 3 different times. And so the first thing that people have to recognize that you're on a journey, and recognize where you are in the stage of the journey of your life. And when you understand that, and actually the first thing you need to recognize is that God has a plan for your life. That's very important. When you realize that God has a plan for your life, then you now have to recognize that because God has a plan for my life, no matter where I am in the state of the journey of my life, God knows. And God that knows is the one that will take me from where I am to where he wants me to be. So when we come from that place of understanding, we don't really let a lot of things going on around us bother us. I know people will say, oh, it's easier said than done. But I always ask people, I'm like, if you worry about something you cannot change, so what is the essence of worrying? And that's why the Bible encourages us and says, be anxious for nothing. So for that person, the most important thing is to put your best foot forward at every time. And that I always say that when we talk about excellent life, people always say, oh, you always talk about the Excellent Life podcast. Now, what is an excellent life? And I always say that an excellent life is doing your very best with what you have in your hand at any particular point in time. That's what it is. It's doing your best. And I also always say that you know whether you're doing your best. So doing your best, understanding that God's grace is sufficient for you, and knowing that with God's grace, you can excel. I just did an episode of the podcast, Grace to Excel, and that's exactly what I was talking about. So for somebody trying to find their way, that's what they need to do. First of all, recognize that God has a plan for your life. Recognize that, you are in a particular part of the journey of your life, and recognize that God has given you all that you need to accomplish the plan and purpose he has for your life. So that's it. But the person that, okay, they're already in that place of excellence, but they're still questioning themselves. Can I do better? I came across a quote recently that really blew my mind. The author, it's a book called Rising Above the Crowd, and it was making a distinction between success and excellence. And he said that success is being the best. while excellence is being your best. And I was like, wow, so it is possible to be the best, but you might not necessarily be, I might not necessarily be your own best. And so that's what we need, because it really set me thinking that, so the fact that I feel like I'm doing well, is that really the best that I can do? So even for that person, and I always say that today's excellence is tomorrow's mediocrity. And so you can never rest and say, oh my God, today I'm excellent in everything I'm doing. And I use myself as an example because I'm constantly looking to learn. In fact, today I was talking to my peer and I told her, I said, I want to start reading more and I need you to hold me accountable. I need to read for 2 hours a day, because the moment we feel like we are done learning, that's a trap. It's a trap that we will get into, because you will never be done learning, because there's something new that is coming out every single day. So learning is a continuous process. It is a continuous process. And so I always say that there's no, I mean, even I say I'm the excellent life coach, but I'm constantly looking to learn. I just ordered a book today because someone talked about it yesterday, and I figured that I can learn something from this book. So I mean, I really don't know. I want to know that person that said, you know what, I've gotten to a point where I'm excellent in all of my life. I don't need to do anything else, because before you know it, you're going to realize, oh my God, I've fallen into the trap of mediocrity. Because like I said, today's excellence is tomorrow's mediocrity. That's why Apple keeps coming up with a new phone every 6 months, because they update something and then you realize, oh my God, my phone doesn't have this particular feature, because life is all about upgrading. In the last 1 year, I've made a commitment to self-development, and I've seen the result of it in my life. So life is all about learning, it's about developing. And I was talking to a young lady the other day, and she was like, oh, that for the first time in her life, she feels like she's not doing so much at work. And I said, you know what you need to do? Use this time as a time of self-development, because there will come a time that all those things that you are learning now will be what you will now need for that next season of your life.
100%. That's 1,000%. 1,000%. I'm holding on to today's excellence is tomorrow's mediocrity. That struck me deep. That struck me deep, because it's very real. It's very real, because sometimes we get certain wins and we're like, oh yeah, I'm there, and then tomorrow it's mediocrity all over. And it just, the only way we can stay excellent is to keep being our best. Yes, and that one was also very strong. Success is being the best, excellence is being your best.
Your best, yeah.
Yes, that is so deep and profound, and it's something that should really drive everyone. So we should always drive for excellence much more at every point in time, because it's what will keep us, and it's what will help us to keep driving. And it's really been a remarkable learning point for me. I really appreciate that. Wow. So let me now just ask you for final words. I feel like just keeping you here and just I don't mind, all of this thing.
Wow.
It's not every day that we're able to come in contact with life wisdom. Let me put it that way, in the sense that everyone has taken in knowledge over the years, but most of the things that really strikes us or deeply inspires us is when we have seen the reality in somebody's lives. That's like an influential model, I would say, and God has helped you up to that point. But before permit me to just add one more question before we go to final words. So, what came to mind now is your business. How were you able to also bring about that aspect of you? So at least I understand that ministry came as a pastor's wife and all. Okay, fine, you understand, your career with law, awesome, and how you're able to thrive in other aspects as well, doing well as a mother and everything. But the business part of it, where did it come from? Has it always been a natural instinct to do
Oh,
business,
that
or
is
what
such an
inspired you?
interesting story because it's so interesting. I did an IG live with one of my friends, and she was asking me about, the role of as a pastor's wife. Are you supposed to be in the marketplace? And I said to her that the interesting thing about my business now that I have, it started in the spa. Sorry, it started in the church. The opportunity came in the church. Someone literally just walked up to me in church and told me about this opportunity. And as soon as she said it, I honestly, literally have had goosebumps. And I always say that that's one of the ways that God speaks to me. So I everything that God has in store for us, He will lead us to it. And I always say that my business, God led me to start a business. And the other thing I always say is that my business is actually an extension of my ministry because it has allowed me showcase the grace of God. It has allowed me showcase the excellence of God. It has created an opportunity for me to be able to let people know that I'm a Christian and to be able to sow the seeds of the gospel into people's lives. So it's all part of God's plan. It's all part of God's plan. And it's so interesting because I remember I had a conversation with my brother, and it was like, it just seems like this thing, this business thing, it's just a fit for you. And I know that because it's all, like I said, it's all, part of God's plan. And, I've run my business now for 5 years. And honestly, when I look at it, it's really grace because I shuttle, between the US and Nigeria, and, the business is running. In fact, we just had our 5th anniversary, and a lot of people came to talk to me, and they were like, I mean, I don't know what you've done, how you've been able to do it, but you have amazing stuff. And it's really because, like I said, anything that God leads you to do, He will give you the resources to do it, whether it's the wisdom you need, it's the amazing stuff that you need, He will put everything together for you. So that's really it. And I every testimony I give about my business, I give it to the glory of God, because I know people that they stay in their business every single day and they can't get it to work, the way the business works, whether I'm there or I'm not there. So Bible says, commit your ways unto the Lord, He will bring it to pass. And like I said, because I believe the business is also a testimony. So God, Bible says, whatever you lay your hands upon, you'll prosper. So the prosperity of the business is a testimony for others to look and say, you know what, this is God. So I won't take too much. I mean, I still have to do my own part, honestly, in running the business, in trying to establish a standard of excellence. I mean, I always tell my staff, people have options. So we must be able to carry out whatever we're doing with the sense that people have a choice. And if we want people to come and patronize us, then we have to put our best foot forward every single day. And before we start business every day, we take time to pray. And I've seen the impact that has had on the business. So it's grace all the way, grace all the way. That's my life.
Grace. Wow, wow. And when you talk about having an amazing staff, you can't have an amazing staff without an amazing boss, honestly. Take it from me. At least I've
Wow.
worked in a couple of organizations, and I could tell how I was able to thrive based on how the leadership really functioned. So if you work in an organization that have a very good leadership, that has an amazing superiors, you would easily grow. That's one thing that I have come to see, and it basically shows from your person and the people that you have around you, because
Thank
people
you.
don't yes, but people don't just get attracted to just anything. You can't even be attracted to mediocrity. It's not possible. There's something that when you taste excellence, you just can't leave it. That's another thing, and it just basically speaks to why everyone must just strive to ensure that in every aspect of their lives they strive for excellence. As a mother, as a pastor, as a pastor's wife, as a minister, even as a worker, as a church member. Yes, even as a church
Absolutely.
member, it's not
Yeah.
until you actually have a title, quote unquote, before you can do things excellently, because before you can be spotted out for being excellent in what you do, giving it your best. And it's been an amazing time really learning and drawing
Thank
from
you. Thank
you.
you for having me again. I'm so very humbled, like I said. Yes. I'm
Thank you
so,
so
so humbled.
much.
Yes.
So I think I'll just ask for your motherly advice, your wisdom. I think
Oh
my
my God.
children.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say that we didn't touch on is that just be your authentic self. That's also one of my mantras in life. Just be, because I think we all have this pressure to be, somebody else or a version of somebody else. I was on a leadership meeting yesterday, and the facilitator said that the great leaders do not make people better versions of themselves, but they make them better versions of their own selves. So it's not about, trying to make somebody another Bolanle or whatever. It's about, and that's why what I emphasize with the podcast, that it's about helping you to be the best version of yourself. So it's no, I always say that you are so unique. Nobody can be, a better version of you than you. So I just want people to realize that you know what, thank God for the people that are superstars or people that are super famous, but there will never be another Apolanle Mateloko. So you can take that to the bank.
Definitely.
You can take that to the bank. So
Yes,
yes, yes. So just be
absolutely.
your authentic self and understand that you're unique. God created you excellently for an excellent purpose. And the only thing that will bring true fulfillment is when you walk in the excellent plan that God has for your life.
The only thing that will bring fulfillment is when you work in the plan
In
that
the
God has for you.
excellent plan
The
that God.
oh God, the
When you walk in
excellent
the
plan.
excellent plan that God has for your life, that is the place of true fulfillment. Yeah.
Mm. True fulfillment, excellent plan. So that's why it's actually very important for
Yeah.
one to even find this plan, for one to diligently seek the face of God, to seek
Mhm.
His guidance. And
Mhm.
just like you mentioned when you started your business, that's how God talks to you. You understand that, okay, this is what God wants for you part
That
time.
season of my life. Yep.
That
That was God.
season,
That
yes, we're
season of
still
my
back
life.
to that season. It now shows. So
Yeah,
honestly,
I always say that the winter season is just as important as the spring season and the summer,
mm,
because in winter gives you time to hibernate, to recuperate from the
yeah,
harshness of the summer. So every season in our life plays a big part in making us the person that we are. And so if you say you don't want, I always say that when people say, I don't want winter, I don't like winter, then what they are saying in essence is that they want to just be stuck in summer. And when you're
mm,
stuck in summer, after some time, I look when it's really hot now in the summer, the leaves, the flowers are drying up and all that. So we all need to go through the many seasons of life, from summer to winter to fall, to all those seasons are what, work together to create the beautiful planet that we live in. So yes.
absolutely, absolutely. I cannot agree better. Because as you were
Mm.
speaking, I was just reflecting on my life last year. So just like you said, this I did this aggressive quest on personal development in the course of last year. And in that same last year, I think I went through major life-changing seasons.
Mm.
There were seasons of pain. Just like I said, I got to a point of burnout where I lost consciousness. So that was one season, you understand? And for every season, I coming back I came back better. I came back with more zeal. I came back with something different, and also that could help me impact my world and impact the people around me. So when I see someone going through a similar path that I went through, I'm able to say, you are at this season, watch it, so you don't make the mistake that I made. And
Mm.
I realized that has really, really helped me, because even this year, I started this year with another season again, another season of almost depression. Like I was just drawn to myself, and
Mm.
and then coming out of it again, I'm like, no, I really have to get this word out there to other women. They
Mhm,
have to
mhm.
know that they are much more. They have to know that they have to live their authentic self, just as you said. Because most of the time we see all of these amazing figures of, and we're like, oh
And we just
wow.
think, oh my God, I'm not good enough. That's just a lie, because just be your authentic self. And I think the problem we have in the world today is that we have too many people walking around in other people's clothes, to other people's personalities, and they're just not their authentic self. Yeah.
100%. And then we begin to speak like them, and then you're not you. And I began to get feedbacks like, "Ah, you're talking like this person, like frequently." And
Mm.
then I realized that that season that I drew in by force made me now bring out the me. So I now began to speak by myself, of myself, and from the abundance that God has put inside of me. So there are certain times that if we don't naturally go to the place of rest, just like you said, when you see the signs, go and stay in, you would actually miss out on that therapy or that restructuring, that or rejuvenation that God wants you to go through, and which is also a season for you to now come out and bloom out there. So thank you so much for emphasizing that. You've validated a lot of things for me personally, and I'm sure our listeners are also gaining a lot, and they're actually learning as well and implementing, because your life has showed that you take actions. You took
Mm.
action with your business, you take actions
Mm.
with your career, you take actions even as a parent to decide, okay, I want to care for these children. You took
Mm.
action. So it's important that we also take those words that you've given to us, which is gold, and then use it to thrive and be better women. And
Mm.
awesome. Thank you so much. So how can our listeners reach
Thank
out
you so
to
much for
you?
having me.
An
Thank you, thank
honor.
you, thank you. Yes.
So how can they reach out to you if they would like to connect to you?
Okay. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Bola Mateloko, the Excellent Life Coach. And you can also catch my podcast on Apple Podcast or any other platform. It's called the Excellent Life Podcast, and it's really designed to inspire, motivate, and challenge you to be the very, very best version of yourself. You can catch me on Facebook at the Excellent Life Coach, and you can also catch me on my YouTube channel. It's just building up. It's called Keeping It Real with Pastor B. So yeah, thank
You
you.
always keep it real. That's one of the reasons why I really, really love you.
Oh
Honestly,
my God, there's no other
listening to
ways to go.
you is
Honestly,
it is
there's really
real.
no other ways to go. I always tell myself that even if I wanted to pretend, I don't know if I can pretend. Oh my God. That's why I just said, be your
Honestly,
authentic self.
that's just the way to live life. Just live you
Yeah,
and be
it takes too much
free.
energy to pretend, honestly. It takes way too
Very
much
true.
energy. So
That's
I
very
so
true.
enjoyed this, honestly. Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Thank you so much. It's
okay,
been
all
an
right.
honor
And
once
hopefully
again.
we can catch up offline too. So awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right. Bye. God bless.
All
Bye.
right, Ma. I think it's my internet again. Oh. Mhm. Thank you for joining us on this episode on Mother's Haven podcast. I believe you've had a life changing and liberating experience. To connect with us or reach out for support, we got you. Kindly send us a DM on Instagram at Mother's Haven or on mothershaven.com. Also, kindly hit the subscribe button to catch every new episode of our validating and inspiring content. Do also leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.